Hey friends, welcome back to another video. My name is Lefebvre, and today we are going to be painting some simple vegetable watercolor illustrations for our August bullet journal setup. So let's jump right in and start. Okay, so today we are working on some easy watercolor vegetables that we are going to end up using for our August bullet journal spread. You can just use this as a tutorial of how to do vegetables, or you can add it to your spread like I did, and it's super fun to do. I'll show a time lapse of how I put it in a wreath. It's very simple once you know how to do the vegetables, but overall it's fun, it's easy. So let's jump in and get started. Okay, so today I am using my Etchr Lab Cold Press Watercolor Sketchbook. I have my Winsor Newton Professional Watercolors. I have my Craftimo bamboo brush in a size 10. I might also grab my size 6 Wonder Forest brush. She has great brushes. And we're just gonna begin. Okay, so let's start with some carrots. I like doing carrots. Carrots are pretty and they're easy. So I'm gonna grab some cadmium orange, put it on my palette like so. And all we're gonna do, everything is very loose. It doesn't have to be super realistic. It's just fun little watercolor illustrations. And we're gonna go and do kind of like a jagged kind of line and make it thicker at the top. That kind of looks a little weird, that's fine. And then fill it in. Looks weird, huh? And then let's do another one that's kind of crossing. Okay, so kind of making it thicker, rounded at the top. Now you can leave a little bit of white space in between if you like, or we can just darken it up later. And we're gonna come down and just make it pointed like so, like that. Okay, make it jagged, kind of messy, and it works. All right, so if you don't have those white spaces, it may look like there's not much separation, which you can just do with shading later. It's totally up to you. Let's grab a little bit of like a green, maybe some Hooker's green. Just add a little bit. Actually, I'm gonna grab a darker green, or you could do even like a blue, a little bit more orange, or even a red, just to make kind of like an orangey brown. And I'm just gonna go up one side of the carrot just to darken it a little. You could just grab a darker orange if you like that. It's kind of brown, but that's okay. That's kind of like its shadowy color. Okay, I'm gonna wash off my brush. Then I am going to take some green. I'm gonna use some sap green, and we're gonna do kind of like the grassy stalk on top. Now I like when it bleeds into my carrot, but in order for it to do that, you don't want a lot of water on your brush, so when you touch the carrot, it bleeds all into the carrot. Also, when I touch it, I'm gonna immediately drag outward, so hopefully the orange will kind of drag into the green rather than the green going into the orange, if that makes sense. So I'm gonna touch and drag out, okay? So if you touch and kind of leave it there, the green is most likely going to drag into the carrot, which in that case, you can always just blot it with a paper towel and fix it. But yeah, drag out. So I'm just gonna go out. Okay, I'm just gonna do kind of these like long stalks like that. And you can even have it touch a little bit more. The key to not having it overpower when you're trying to get like a little bit of a color bleed is to not have a lot of water or pigment on your paintbrush. Okay, and now I'm just gonna add a bit more water on my brush. It's a little dry. And I'm just gonna kind of do some lines and then like some really loose kind of dabs for these leaves. Making sure that's in frame. Okay, you could always change up the color of the carrots too. Maybe I'll add, or the leaves, a little bit of yellow to my green. A little bit more yellow maybe. Okay. Gonna have it like flopping over, just very, very loose. Okay, and we're gonna do a bit more detail on that when it dries. So there's our carrots. Okay, next let's do a beet. I love beets, they're so pretty. So to get the beet color, I usually mix my, I'm really sorry for the construction again, guys. I know it's really annoying in these videos, but I'd rather talk in real time than do a voiceover later, just then I can give you kind of like my whole thought on what I'm thinking while I paint, so I do apologize. So I'm using Winsor red and dioxazine purple. And we're gonna start with kind of like, not a heart shape, but you don't want it to be like too hearty shaped, but like kind of like a ball, and then it kind of comes down to a point. Okay, and make it kind of like, they're vegetables, nothing's perfect, right? I'm gonna take some of that pigment off and fill it in, but I might leave, you know, like a little bit of white space just for fun. So there's a bit more pigment over here, it's pooling over here a little bit, which is fine. You can bring that pool up because I kind of like the way it looks when it dries. It has that kind of funky mark and it's darker in one spot, and I like that look for these, but it's totally up to you. I'm just leaving a little bit of white space, and then I'm gonna do like a little root kind of coming down. The tip of my brush, really light pressure. Like that. I'm gonna wash off my brush, and I might actually even take up more of that color. And then I'm just drying it on my paper towel. Like that. And then we are going to grab that color again and do some of the same kind of stalks that we did for the carrot, but we're using purple to come up. Let's do like 3. Now I'm gonna grab some green. Let's grab some sap green. I have some dark green in there too. And I'm just gonna do some leaves around those purple centers. We even might go over the purple centers a bit more to make it more purpley, because it always has that purple center of the leaves. And I'm just roughly going around it, just really just dabbing my brush, dab up, like that. So I get these kind of like bigger blobs, and this is a size 10 brush. So if your blobs are too small, you might need a bigger brush, or you could always just draw the shape of the leaf and then fill it in with your brush, like that. Okay, I might even grab a little bit of yellow. Just pop it into some of those leaves. It's too much water on my brush. Gonna mop it up a little. Okay, and then I'm gonna grab a bit more of that purple and just drag it through a bit more so it bleeds into the green. Like that. Like that. Okay. Oh my gosh, this, I'm gonna grab a little bit of red too, I think. A little bit more red, mix it in with that purple and just kind of tap just a little bit in there, like that. Okay, easy peasy. Let's do, let's do like a little radish, okay? Same kind of thing. We're gonna use the same mix of the red and the purple, a bit more red than purple. So again, Winsor red, dioxazine purple, and we'll just do a couple smaller ones of this. Okay, same kind of, I feel like I have too much paint on my brush. Let's start off with circles and then drag it out to like a little point. Like that. We'll do like a little bunch of them. Maybe have one behind this one. Leaving a little bit of white space, but you don't have to. Okay, you also might want to use a smaller brush depending on how big your painting is. Okay, just mopping up some of that color a bit. I'm gonna wash off my brush. These ones, I believe, the green stem, you don't have that red coming up. I don't actually remember, but I'm just gonna do green coming up, just touching the red just a little bit. Oops, and that one's taking over. That's okay, I can fix it. We're just gonna do small little leaf type things. Really loose, guys. Actually, the green bleed isn't too bad into that red. I don't mind it. Just dabbing, making it nice and lush. Okay, I'm gonna wash off my brush, dry it, and I'm actually gonna take up some of that color too. Like that. Okay. And you can always add a darker green in there if you wanted into some of the greenery, just touching it while it's wet, and then it bleeds in there a little bit. Up to you what you want to do. Okay, so there we go. We have 3. Let's do some asparagus. I like asparagus. So I'm just gonna grab some sap green, and I'm just gonna do these long sticks, thicken them up just a bit. Maybe I'll cross one over. Let's do 3. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, and now I'm gonna use the tip of my brush and a little bit of pressure and just do these kind of dabs around. And we're gonna do more detail on these when they dry as well. Like that, just using the tip of your brush to dab. Like that. And that's it. We're gonna leave that one and we'll come back. Let's do a tomato. Tomato. All right. Grab some Winsor red. I'm just gonna start off with kind of like a large rounded bit. It's a little bit flatter and fatter. And then just very kind of jagged top because we're gonna have the green up there. Okay, let's do another one here. Grab a bit more red. Okay, like that. I'm gonna grab some more Winsor red. I'm just gonna tap it on one side. Okay, I'm gonna take off that pigment on my brush, dry it, maybe just move it around just a bit. And you can even make it a little bit darker. Let's add a little bit of green to our red. We'll have like, oops, that's way too much darkness. A little bit more red. Just to add a little bit of shadow on one side to make it a little bit darker. Like that. Okay, and then we'll come back and we're gonna do the green after. Let's do an eggplant. I love eggplants just because they're so beautiful in color. Again, dioxazine purple. Let's grab a little bit of red. Like that, just a little bit of red, more purple. And then we're gonna do a larger bottom and then smaller at the top. And just fill it in. Like so. You can leave a little bit of white space. Let's do another one here. Don't worry too much about the shape, just because vegetables and fruits and stuff like that vary in shape, right? None of them are like perfect. Okay, I'm gonna add a little bit of Hooker's green to my mix here to make it a bit darker. I'm gonna go along the bottom and just tap it in. And along this side, tap it in. Okay. Like that, and then we will wait to do the top as well. Actually, no, we can grab a little bit of sap green, a little bit of Hooker's green, whatever you have. And it can bleed in a little bit. It doesn't have to touch. It can touch if you want. And do these kind of like jaggedy bits on the top. Like so. I mixed it with the purple because when you mix purple and green, it doesn't really make like a brown color. But if I were to put the green top on the red, green and red are complementary or contrasting colors, which will make brown. And I don't really want brown here. Green and the purple will not make brown. It'll just make a bit of a darker shadow color. So that's why I decided to do the green while this was still wet. Okay, and not on the tomatoes. All right, now let's do like would it be like a turnip? I don't even know. I don't know if it's a turnip or not. I just love these colors. These kind of, I'm gonna grab some, I had some red, dioxazine purple. I'm gonna grab a little bit of permanent rose. This one's gonna be a bit more pink. Is it a turnip that's longer? I don't know. I don't actually know. Take off some of that pigment and I'm gonna do, I just love the root vegetables. Kind of like a weird shape here. At the top mostly, I'm gonna wash off my brush so it's clean and then just drag out the color just a little bit so it's lighter at the bottom. Do a little root. Okay, I don't want that purple color as much at the bottom. I might even grab a little bit of yellow. And tap it in there. A little bit more maybe, like that. And then grab more of that color and make it darker at the top and at the side. And then we will do our greenery. Again, dragging away. Like so. I think these ones have bigger leaves. I don't even know. And you know what? It doesn't have to be perfect. So we have some of that purple coming in there. Like that, maybe a bit more green. I just love the way these look. I feel like I need to just blend that a bit better. Like that. A bit more of the purple in the leaves maybe. And there we go. Let's do some cucumbers. Cucumbers maybe. Okay, let's grab some sap green, maybe some hooker's green. Very simple, long thing, and it doesn't have to be perfect, right? Just like that. I'm gonna try and drag some of that darker color along the bottom side, and then we're gonna wait until it dries, and we can do some like extra little textures on it. We could do some little beans. I'm just gonna draw it with the tip of my brush. Like that. Just trying to think of like cute little vegetables. You could do circles, like there's peas in there or something. Cute. Like that. What else? How about an onion? I like onions. I'm gonna grab some yellow ochre right here. And I'm gonna do the same kind of shape as this. So I'm gonna start with the top, like a little point, and make a big kind of like bulbous bit, and make it rounder at the bottom, like so. I feel like it needs a little bit like more orange or something in that color. Okay, and then I'm gonna have a bit more sprouting at the top like that. And I'm not gonna fill the whole thing in, I don't think. I'm just gonna kind of make these curves and then leave little bits of white space like that. Okay. And then we could even grab a little bit of burnt umber and do some more little lines like that. Okay? And you could do the same thing making garlic, but like with gray and white. And then I think we could do some onions, like the green onions. So we're just gonna do long stalks like this. I'm not filling it in. I'm kind of doing the outline. Do another one crossing here, another one crossing here. Okay, I'm gonna grab a bit more darker green, maybe a bit more darker at the top, the green onion. Let it bleed a little bit. I'm gonna grab a little bit, because it's white, but I want a little bit of that purple for the bottom. And just do a little bit of purple for the bottom onion part. Totally up to you though. And then you can even grab some brown. Do a couple little things like that. I don't know. Very loose. Don't worry too much about it. All right. And I think that's everything. Cool. Now let's go back into some of the ones that I've already dried and do a little bit of detail. Nothing crazy. Okay, so let's start with our carrots. I'm just gonna grab some more orange, maybe a bit of burnt umber to mix with it. And see this one that's behind? I'm gonna do a line here, separating them, and then just add some darker shadow here. Wash off my brush, dry it on my paper towel, and then blend it out so it looks like it's behind. Same thing down here. Add the pigment or the paint. Okay, wash off your brush, dry it, drag it down to blend it out. And it looks like it's behind it. Okay, so you don't need that white space. And then I'm just gonna grab a bit more of that color and just do some lines. Okay, just for a little bit of texture, like that. Okay, our beet color. Remixing that, and I'm just gonna do some really simple lines. You can do some more lines if you want on your leaves. Like that. You can do the same thing for our radishes over here. I feel like those radishes could have been a bit more red. That's okay. Let's just get a little bit of texture on them. This one's behind, so I just added a little bit of red there, and then I'm going to blend it out. Okay, like that. If you want to add a little bit more detail in the leaves, you could just go over when it's dry. Okay, our onion is not dry yet, so let's grab a little bit of darker green and do our asparagus. So this is dry. And again, you're gonna do the same kind of thing. Decide which stalk is in, actually, hold on. Let's do some dots for the top of the asparagus first with some darker green. Just dab in our brush. Okay, some on the stalks too. And then decide which one is in the front. And then what you're gonna do is you're just going to, let's say this one is in the front. So I'm going to kind of outline it and then fill in with some of that color, wash off my brush, dry it, and blend it out. And then wait for that first asparagus stalk to dry, and then you can do the same thing with the one behind. So pick whatever one's behind, shade that one, blend it out. And you don't have to do this step. You can make it like really loose. You don't have to define it. It's totally up to you. That's just an extra little step you can do. Now let's add some greenery to these tomatoes. And it doesn't have to fill up right to the white space. Okay, you can just loosely place a green top on there, like that. And then our cucumber, you can do a couple little lines coming down. You can do some like dots or like circles. Looks kind of like a pickle, even though they are pickles, like that. I'm gonna do some lines on these onions. Bit of detail on there. And then lastly, our onion here. Just gonna do some lines down the onion like that. And there you go. There are our loose vegetables. And now I can show you how I put them kind of in a little wreath for our bullet journal. Okay, then it was time to get it in the bullet journal. So like always, when I'm doing an illustration in my bullet journal with watercolor, I will cut up watercolor paper and stick it in my bullet journal. So I needed a pencil, an eraser, and for this I use my Munio palette, which I haven't done a video on, but I quite like it. It's 48 colors and the paint's quite decent and there's a great selection of colors. So that's what I used for this part. Then I just wrote August really lightly with my pencil and did a very light sketch of a circle just as a guideline. And then I did my little calendar and days of the week. Decided to use the ink first just so I could space it out the way I wanted to, and went over the word August with a navy brush pen, which I thought would go lovely with the color of the vegetables. And then I started painting. So I was using my Wonder Forest brushes for this, just they're nice and small and very nice fine tip, and began painting. So I don't really have any specific tips of how I did this painting part. I just kind of placed all of those little vegetables around that rough circle and kind of went with it, and it worked. So Like if there was a carrot, I kind of curved it to the circle, like same for the other kind of stocky vegetables, and just went around, and it ended up looking really cute. I kept it a bit more loose for the wreath, but that was about it. And then after, you'll see, I'm not going to show you the whole thing that I painted just because I actually didn't really like how it turned out. After the wreath, I did like a little basket of vegetables, which, like I said, didn't really like it, but I stuck it on the other side of the page for my video ideas page, just as a little illustration. But yeah, that's about it. I'm going to keep this going. I'm going to stop talking because there's really nothing much more to say. I explained how to paint these vegetables earlier on, so now you can just sit back, relax, and watch. And then for the weekly setup, I did it the same as always, so it's nothing really new. So that's about it. So I'm gonna let you finish watching this part of the illustration, and that's about it. I don't really have any more tips. I use washi tape too to do the border, but I do that with every bullet journal setup, so nothing new. Anyway, hope you guys enjoy this part, and thanks for watching. Thank you all so much for watching my video. I really hope you liked it, and I hope you learned something. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel and follow me on Instagram for even more. Have a great day, guys. Bye!